following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And we're coming to you tonight on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, and on Channel 34 on Simul TV. Just a news story that broke over the last half hour. Canadian music icon Gordon Lightfoot passed away at the age of 84 in Orillia, Ontario. At the bottom of the hour, we will be leaving the X Zone, going to our Toronto newsroom for further coverage on the passing of Gordon Lightfoot, who passed away this evening at the age of 84. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Dr. Susan Shumsky, and her expertise is in spirituality, meditation, affirmation, prayer, Eastern philosophy. And she's also the author of a book entitled The Inner Light. Joining me now from somewhere in the United States in her RV is the one and only Dr. Susan Shumsky. And Susan, welcome back to the show, dear.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. It's great to see you.
So where are you today?
I'm in Arkansas today.
My goodness. What's it like, the freedom that you had to go wherever you want to go, do whatever you want to do?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of freedom when you live in an RV. You have no home base. You can go anywhere. You can run away from places you want to run away from. Okay. And go to better places. So it's fun. It's fun.
I don't know where to go with this. So many questions. Why an RV?
You know, it's funny. I have lived in a van, a trailer, or an RV since 1989.
Wow.
And I think the reason why I initially started doing it was so that it would be easier for me to travel to different places to do speaking engagements. So for years, this was a very convenient way to travel, especially when gas prices were much lower than they are now. Sure. Now it's actually probably more expensive, more cost effective to fly places. But I still live in the RV, and I leave it when I need to fly somewhere. So it works out fine. I mean, I find it self-contained. You know, you don't have to be acquiring possessions, and I'd rather get rid of possessions rather than gain more.
So let me see. You are the turtle, and the RV is the shell.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Susan. Great talking to you and seeing you again. Tell us a little bit about your book, The Inner Light. Who, what, when, where, and why did you write it?
I wrote The Inner Light, How India Influenced the Beatles, because I had written this memoir, Maharishi and Me, Seeking Enlightenment with the Beatles Guru. And the memoir was really about my time with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in the ashram. I spent 2 decades with him and 6 years on his personal staff. So it's an amazing book. It actually won 13 book awards. This book alone won 13 book awards. And it tells it's the tell-all, the good, bad, the ugly, everything that went on in the ashram, what it was like to live with a spiritual master from India, all the celebrities that came to visit him, such as the Beatles and Mia Farrow, Mike Love, Doug Henning, Andy Kaufman, so many really famous superstars came to visit Maharishi. And so I did have a couple chapters about the Beatles in that book. But after the book was published, I realized I really want to tell the whole story of the Beatles in India, what really went on there, why they left in a huff, and also, their entire immersion in Eastern philosophy, Eastern wisdom, Indian music, Indian musicians, Indian musical instruments. You know, really the Beatles introduced India and Indian philosophy to the West. Before they got hooked up with Maharishi, there was no words such as mantra, ashram, karma, yoga. All these terms didn't even exist in the West until Maharishi, with a little help from his friends, the Beatles, introduced all that to the West.
What was the attraction with Maharishi? Like, I've never understood the attraction to the Eastern philosophies.
Yeah. So what was amazing about Maharishi was his energy. Yeah, he was very childlike, seemingly innocent. He was always laughing. He was so happy, the happiest person I ever was around. And he had this amazing energy. It's like he exuded a spiritual vibration. You could feel waves of bliss coming over you when you were in his presence. And also that there was love, tremendous amount of love that he gave to every person that was with him. And he was very present. He was very right there in the moment. So he was just an amazing, amazing personality. And I think that's why so many of us, and including the Beatles, wanted to be around him. We wanted to hang around with him. And the Beatles at the time, they were seeking higher consciousness. They were seeking wisdom of the East, as many of us were, the flower children. And I think the Beatles were also flower children. They were counted as one of these, as some of the people who were looking for higher consciousness, looking for altered states of consciousness through LSD and also through meditation.
But once again, what is the foundation of Eastern philosophy that makes it so attractive to the Western civilization that, in my opinion, is far further ahead than the Eastern, India? You look at India and, my God, it's the last place on earth I'd ever want to be.
Yeah. So the thing is that the reason why people are interested in Indian philosophy is because it's sort of a way out of suffering. The idea in Indian philosophy is to experience samadhi, to experience a state of deep relaxation and inner peace, to experience, to physically experience that oneness with spirit. So the experience of meditation is what really draws people into Indian philosophy or Indian wisdom, because they know how to meditate and they know how to teach people how to meditate, which helps them to be stress-free, helps them to be more healthy, helps them to feel more integrated and whole. So I found meditation to be a fantastic, wonderful addition to my life. As a matter of fact, I consider it to be the panacea of so many ills in life. Just that quietude of going in, taking a few breaths, going into inner peace, experiencing harmony. It brings actually, there's been a lot of scientific research on meditation and what it does for people, all positive results, heart health and mental health and reversal of aging and so many things.
How did you end up being on the staff of the Maharishi?
Well, really, I asked him. That's really all I did. I just asked him, can I join your staff? I was very young, very innocent. And he said, yeah, sure.
Now, was this a paid gig or was this a volunteer gig?
No, this was a volunteer gig, but I did happen to live in luxurious hotels the whole time. In Switzerland, in Italy, in Mallorca, in Austria. Wherever we were, Maharishi was teaching these huge teacher training courses throughout Europe. And so I was there helping him, doing administration, doing a lot of different things when I was on staff. And it was a very comfortable lifestyle. We didn't get paid, but we had a room and board, and it was very nice.
So what did you take away from the experience that you had working with the Maharishi?
I took away many things. I think the one thing that might be the most interesting to people is the fact that I became more self-sufficient. I realized that being dependent on anyone, such as a guru or a master, is really not what I wanted to do, that I wanted to be more sovereign, be more myself. But also, I mean, I took away many things. First of all, I learned how to meditate, which is invaluable, amazing resource. And I also, because he gave me all these different jobs to do, I learned skills in many different areas, things that I would not have learned otherwise. For example, I worked in accounting. So I did accounting for a long time, finances and accounting, worked there. I worked in housing. I actually managed a huge hotel in Interlaken, this very famous Swiss hotel in Interlaken near the Jungfrau mountain there, this ginormous hotel called the Victoria Jungfrau Hotel. So I learned how to become a hotel manager. I also learned how to put together retreats and, travel types of things, which that served me later in life, because now I put together conferences at sea and that sort of thing. So I learned all these skills, and also art. I'm an artist, and he had me working in the art and graphics department. So I also learned a lot in that area. So it was a school of many colors.
So what advantage would a person who practices meditation have that a person who doesn't do meditation not have?
I think that meditation makes people happier and makes them more peaceful. So these are very important things in life, I think.
But how does meditation do that?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how it does that. All I know is that when you are in a state of deep meditation, you are feeling peaceful, and you are feeling a sense of wholeness, and you're feeling a sense of well-being, and you feel happy. So because it's the internal experience of that enriches your life, then you're happier in life.
Okay, so when you meditate, how does it work? Do you sit down and do you just blank everything out and get yourself to that place where nothing bothers you, the outside world doesn't exist?
Okay, so first of all, trying to blank the mind doesn't work. Trying to hold on to your thoughts and stop thinking, that doesn't work. Nothing like that works. If you try to meditate, trying is antithetical to meditation. So meditation is about letting go. Now, one way to get into a letting go state is to take some deep breaths, like a breath like this, like, and on the out breath, you're feeling a little more relaxed, and then you take another one, and a few deep breaths like that just immediately starts to calm you down. You get into a more calm state of being. And then there's various practices that people do, different types of meditation. With transcendental meditation, which is what Maharishi Mahesh Yogi taught, that is done by thinking, repeating a mantra, and that is a sound. It is actually the name of a deity is what it is. Mantras, that's what they are. And so just repeating a sound, like, for example, in the West, we might repeat the name of Jesus or the name of God, and that would be a type of meditation that you could practice. And there's other types of meditation. People might be aware of their breath, or they might contemplate certain things. They might think about certain things. And so many different types of meditation, but all of them have one main goal, and that is to bring more well-being, peace of mind, and help people become more relaxed. And it works.
One of your books is entitled Power of Auras. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I wrote a book called The Power of Auras. And that book is about the human energy field. So we have this gross physical body, and we also have several subtle bodies, subtle layers to our subtle body. So we have we have the physical body, which is called the food sheath because it's made of food, sustained by food, and becomes food for something else after we're gone. And then there's the vital energy sheath, which is where life force energy flows through us. Mm-hmm. Life force energy, there are other names for that: prana, chi, or ki. And then there's a mental body, which is where your senses are and your conscious awareness. And then there is a intellect ego body, and then something called the causal body. So there's different layers of your energy field. And The Power of Auras, the book, helps you to be able to perceive these and to strengthen them as well. And it teaches a lot of just tons of different techniques for that.
A number of the books that you've written all are headed towards meditation or feature meditation. Is meditation increasing notoriety? Because here in the media, we don't hear as much about the Eastern philosophies as we used to. And I'm just wondering why that is.
The thing is, Eastern philosophy is really not popular in the West. However, meditation is. And the reason for that is because yoga has become so popular now. And yoga is, people think of that as an exercise in a gym, which that isn't really what it is. Yoga means connecting the ego, or connecting the individual with universal life, connecting the human being with God. So yoga means to yoke, to connect. The Sanskrit word of yoga comes from a root yuj, which means to connect, to yoke together. So what we're yoking together is individuality with universality. It's not yoking your nose with your knee or your forehead with your floor, which is what people think yoga is. But in fact, that's erroneous. But what has come out of that popularity of yoga is a very great benefit, and that is that people are practicing meditation more. More and more people say they meditate, or say they want to meditate, or they want to practice meditation. So it's become, and what they call it now is they call it mindfulness. I'm not sure why they call it that, but that's something that's become quite popular.
Maybe it's because of the connection of meditation to an Eastern philosophy.
It could be, yeah, because a lot of meditations came out of Eastern philosophy. They came out of either Hinduism or Buddhism. Right.
Susan, stand by. We've got to take our break. Exonation. Dr. Susan Shumsky is our guest. www.drsusan.org. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee, decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and nonverbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.
And welcome back, everyone. Dr. Susan Shumsky is our guest. Her website is drsusan.org. What was it like living in the ashram?
Wow, that was some kind of experience. It was sort of a combination heaven and hell. So it was heavenly when I was near Maharishi and he was giving his attention to me. And it was hell when I was, when I felt like he wasn't, or I felt like I wasn't being treated well or whatever, you know. I was a child. I was really young at the time. But it was amazing to be in the presence of this personality who was so loving and so powerful, and who it was fascinating to listen to him speak, because he was always teaching us such interesting things about the universe and about meditation and all these things. So yeah, but you know, I worked on staff, so I worked hard. There was a lot of things to do, and so there wasn't all that much time to meditate, but I did meditate, I don't know, maybe a couple hours a day.
What is the story behind the Maharishi? Where did he come from? How did he get into the role of a spiritual leader?
You know, he came from humble beginnings in India, and he came to the West without anything. He just had a carpet roll, and that was it. You know, shows up in Hawaii, and then, you know, people start to notice him. They come along, they help him. He comes to the United States. He stays in Los Angeles. People help him there. You know, he's teaching his philosophy was as simple. It was that the mind always seeks a field of greater happiness, and that we can experience infinite awareness. We can experience transcendental consciousness. But the main thing that compelled me, the reason why I was so interested in what he had to say, is because I was a child of the Cold War. And I was terrified that an atom bomb was going to fall on my head. And as a child, since we lived near an Air Force base and these planes were always going overhead, I was wondering when the atom bomb was going to fall. So we were living in terror, so many of us back then. And Maharishi said, even in the very beginning, before he even left India, he told people that it was possible for us to create world peace if enough people would meditate. What he said was, in order for the forest to be green, the trees must be green. In order for there to be world peace, individuals must be at peace. And that really rang a bell with me. That made a whole lot of sense to me, because how can you have a peaceful world if you've got people warring with each other, if you've got people in conflict, if you've got people carrying hatred and anger around with them? Obviously, we're going to have wars if people keep doing that. So what Maharishi did is he focused on teaching as many people as possible to meditate. During his lifetime, he trained 40,000 teachers of transcendental meditation, and those teachers taught 6 million people to meditate. So that was a pretty big accomplishment that he did during his lifetime. And I think that he really did help to elevate consciousness, and he did help to create a more peaceful world at the time.
There are those who believe that the Maharishi was the leader of a cult. How do you dispute that?
I don't. He was a leader of a cult. Those of us who were around him, those people who lived in Fairfield, Iowa, very much a cult in the sense of lots of rules and regulations. This is the only way, this is the only true enlightened master. This is the only way to enlightenment. All these things that you think about when you think about a cult pretty much fit the bill with transcendental meditation. And I got sick of that after a while, and I left. I was with them for a couple decades, but then I realized, well, actually, what took me away from them was I learned another meditation technique that I liked better. And I decided I wanted to teach that. So I started writing books about that and teaching that.
Was there the abuse within the Maharishi's cult that we hear about in other cults, including the sleep deprivation, the food deprivation, the sexual abuse?
None of that. No, not in transcendental meditation. It was just this idea of this is the only way kind of thing. There wasn't any, I didn't see any violence or any.
Right. So what's the difference between the transcendental meditation and what the Maharishi was teaching compared to the Hare Krishnas, for example? Right.
The Hare Krishnas, that was another thing that was going on at the same time as Maharishi. The Maharishi came to the West in about 1959, and then the 60s came along and TM became very popular. And at the same time, Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada came from India, and he founded the ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And those were the Hare Krishnas, and they were chanting this mantra. And the mantra basically was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. That's it. But basically, that's the chant that they would sing and they would dance and they would do this chant. So that's what they did. Maharishi's meditation was a silent meditation. You go within, you use a word that's a mantra, and you meditate, you go deep within. Whereas Hare Krishna was about singing and chanting in what they call kirtan, which is in a group chanting. So that's the difference.
They were a real pain in the ass. Yeah.
So the thing is, they would try to solicit donations at airports in different places. And George Harrison, one of the Beatles, who really was supporting them, he didn't like that kind of behavior. So he never really joined their organization because of he didn't like the tactics that they were using.
Whatever happened to them? We don't see them at airports anymore.
Right. So they still exist. There are hundreds of those ISKCON temples throughout the world, Krishna temples, and many in India, but they are all over the world. You'll find them in almost every city. And they're still giving out free food also.
I guess that's because I don't look for them. I don't see them.
They do exist. They do exist.
Susan, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight on this very abridged version of the X-Zone Nation. We're now going to be joining our studio in Toronto as we take up with the life and times of Gordon Lightfoot. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. And if you'd like more information about our guest this hour, Dr. Susan Shumsky, visit her website, drsusan.org. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're signing off. We'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. Don't go away.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.